Hey, what's going on? My name is Brian Pickowicz.
And I'm Lindsey Rago.
And we are the head coaches here at the Fitness Project. And today, we're going to talk about motivation. Yes. How to get yourself motivated and how to keep it going so you can be healthy and get the results you want.
Absolutely. Now, where people typically struggle is either in the process of getting started, right? You just feel unmotivated. Everything feels like a dragon. You just don't want to get started with the actions that you feel like you should take or the things that you maybe want to do, right? There's just that wall between you and the actions. Or you fall into the camp where you can get yourself riled up. You can be like, hey, this is the time I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to get healthy. I'm going to get into this. You get your plan. You do it for a couple weeks, and then it gets really hard. And motivation dies. That is what we like to call the dip, where things get really hard and you don't want to keep going, and then you fall off completely, only having to start again. So how do we go about fixing that? Where do we start?
Well, we want to understand first is what is motivation, right? If you even think about the word motivation, it's the motive to take action, right? It's that feeling that comes, that excitement that you're going towards something that's worth your time and effort, and it's exciting to see yourself making progress towards it. Now, the challenge for a lot of people is what motivates them is usually pain. And if you think about maybe yourself, I know Lindsey and I, we've had conversations with thousands of people at this point, and a lot of times when they first come to us, they say, oh, I just want to not feel this way anymore. Right? I want to not feel uncomfortable in my clothes. I want to not feel burnt out. I want to not feel bloated or lethargic. And the challenge is that is enough to get sparked, but it doesn't really move us forward in a long-term sense, because as soon as we take action for a week, 2 weeks, a month, we lose that feeling, right? Mm-hmm. You're no longer burnt out. You're no longer tired. You're no longer bloated. And we don't have another step that we're really moving towards. And so we end up falling back down, right? And that's why a lot of people gain and lose the same 5 or 10 pounds over and over again, because they reach that point where they start to feel a little bit better and they say, okay, I'm comfortable again. And then they dip and it just kind of continues going forward. And so what we want to talk about today is really understanding how do you set yourself up and consistently fall into these different patterns that we're going to teach you so that you can find something that's compelling about where you're going and ultimately find that motivation to live the life that you want. And now the first thing we're going to talk about is understanding what drives us. And so we talk about motivation. The motivation is that motive to act. What we're really talking about is we're moving towards something compelling. We have to have a compelling vision of what we're going to accomplish. Because if we don't have something that's compelling, two things happen. A, we don't perceive that we're going to receive a reward, right? And so that's one of the things that actually drives us, is this dopamine circuit in our brain that says, oh, if I'm going to show up to the gym, there's a reward I'm going to receive long term. And it's that chasing of the reward, the chasing of the feeling that drives us to show up on the challenging days. And so you have to ask yourself right now, what is your short-term focus, right? What is the next goal that you want to accomplish in the next, let's say, 1 to 3 months? And then we have to build a compelling vision of what we're going to achieve long-term. And so to answer that question, here's some simple things you can ask yourself. A is, what do you want to accomplish? What is your goal? What is your focus? Right? We can have that short-term focus in the next 1 to 3 months. And we do want to build something compelling for the future. 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. It could be 10 years, right? What's the payoff of being healthy for the next 10 years in your life? The second thing we want to do is we want to ask ourselves, why is it important that I do this? What is the reason? What is the meaning? It's not just enough to say, I want to lose 15 pounds because I want to lose 15 pounds. What happens if you lose that 15 pounds? Do you gain more confidence? Do you feel healthy? Do you have more energy? Are you able to hike or maybe run? Is there something that is compelling for you to follow through on? And the last thing is, how will success in this area impact your quality of life? Meaning, if you do lose the weight, if you did have the confidence, if you were that version of yourself that you really want to be, how would it impact your business? How would it impact your family? How would it impact the way you show up in your relationships? If we can create a criteria for success, what happens is on the challenging days, when things are hard, when you don't feel like showing up, or maybe you have a failure, you have a setback, you have something that doesn't really allow you to see the light at the end of the tunnel for a moment, you can refocus and say, hey, I'm doing this because I want to accomplish this. I have a why, I have a reason, and this is how it's going to impact my life. And so that's what we want to start with. We want to have a compelling vision, a compelling future. And then the second thing is more here and now, right? Mm-hmm. What we do in the moment to get ourselves moving.
Yeah, so we can't only rely on our dream outcome, our vision to always pull us forward. We also have to do things in the present moment that drum up that motivation. Now, the great thing about understanding the dopamine circuit in the brain and this idea that we're moving forward, we're making progress, is that we can hack that system to get ourselves motivated today. So here's the thing. If your brain perceives that you are making progress, you are moving forward or moving closer to where you want to be, you will feel that sense of motivation. But if you stay still and stagnant physically, you will not gain motivation because you are literally physically being still and not moving. So what you have to do when you're feeling unmotivated to do the workout that's going to give you the progress, or you're feeling unmotivated to eat the healthy meal that will give you the progress, you have to put your shoes on. You have to sit down with the meal in front of you. Stop to eat. You have to take action. It doesn't have to be a big action where you go do the hardest workout of your life. You don't have to make a glorious, perfect meal, but you have to do something that is in alignment with your vision, your goals, and where you want to be.
Can I jump in on that with you? And I want to have you share your example too, if something that's resonates with you. But a lot of days when I don't want to work out, one of the things I do is I put on my workout clothes and I go and sit in the car and I start it. And what I find is the 5 minutes between leaving the house and getting to the gym, I have started to feel more inspired to working out because I start to think about the workout. I start to focus on what I'm going to do. And even some days it's as hard as I start walking on the treadmill and then I just go through the motions. But I think it's important to see that there is an action that's leading you to taking that bigger action that you want to focus on.
Yeah.
What are some examples for you?
Well, I like that example of the leading action is kind of what you have to place your attention and your focus on. And by putting your attention and focus on the leading action, you almost forget the bigger action that you were feeling unmotivated to take. Because you just get yourself in flow and you've changed your focus. So I think of myself even today, right now, I'm not feeling as motivated to get my workout in or to go to this event that's on my calendar tonight. And I know that if I stay focused on I don't want to go or I'm tired, then I'm not going to gain any motivation. I'm just going to sit in that feeling and wish that I did something different. So what I would do in this case today, and what I will do, is I'll focus on that leading action of getting my shoes on, changing my outfit, sitting in the car, turning on the keys, putting on music. Those are things that are easy that I can commit to that allow me to change my focus from the big overarching habit or action and just get me to be present. Because that alone is going to drive motivation and get me in that state.
And what happens too is when you think of the here and now action, it compels you to focus on the long-term payoff. Right? So you start to see how these kind of work together. And you have to remember that moving your body is the fastest way to change your emotions. So if you're feeling tired and you stand up straight and you take a deep breath in, it's going to change the way you feel. Now, it's not going to be a magic trick every time, right? It's not about BSing yourself and just thinking positively, but it's understanding that your physical body, right? Even if it's as simple as going for a walk, that is a net positive for your long-term goal.
Yes, and motivation follows action.
Yes.
Every time. Motivation is not a lightning strike. It is something that is a direct result of taking action. So remember that. Utilize these tools. Create your vision. Remember to get yourself into that leading action so that motivation follows and get after it. I mean, we have a great podcast for you that we can use to extend this knowledge and keep the conversation going, but we would love to hear in the comments below. First, if you want that podcast, if you want to go deeper on this, comment below. We'll make sure that you get it. And for everyone, no matter what, we want to hear your goals that you're working on right now. Comment them below, and we'll keep in touch, and we'll talk to you soon.
Keep crushing it.
Cheers.
Cheers.